It is wonderful to be here in Nevada. How is everybody doing tonight? Are we Democrats fired up? Ready to go? It is wonderful to be here with all of you, and I also want to thank Harry Reid for his outstanding leadership of our nation. Senator Reid, thank you for everything that you do for us. My name is Martin O'Malley. I am the former mayor of Baltimore. I am the former governor of Maryland. I am a lifelong Democrat, and I am running for President of the United States. I intend to win, and I need your help. I am honored to be on this stage with fine candidates like Hillary Clinton and Senator Sanders, and all of us joining with you in finding a better way forward for our country. My experience, though, is different than my other two competitors. I am not a former United States Senator or a former Congressperson, though I have learned how to count votes and bring people together to accomplish difficult things. I'm not a cabinet secretary or an advisor, but I have put together some terrific cabinets of really talented and diverse men and women who know how to get things done. My experiences as an executive, a mayor and as a governor, bringing people together, getting things done. What sort of things? Actions, not words. The first state in the union to pass a living wage, raising the minimum wage, investing more in public education rather than less to make our public schools #1 in America 5 years in a row. These were actions, not words. Going 4 years in a row without a penny's increase to college tuition, investing more in our infrastructure, making my state #1 in innovation and entrepreneurship, passing a climate change bill, and taking actions like these, driver's licenses for new American immigrants, and passing the DREAM Act in Maryland. Passing marriage equality, repealing the death penalty, and passing comprehensive gun safety legislation. Actions, not words. Look, I know that sometimes it's easy to become discouraged about the gridlock in our national politics and in Congress, by the division and polarization of our nation's deliberative body. And when that happens to you, I want to urge you to do as I do. And that is, if you want to know where our country is headed, talk to young Americans under 30. Because you will rarely find among them young Americans who deny that climate change is real or think that their nation shouldn't do something about it. You'll rarely find among them people who want to slam America's door in the face of refugee families fleeing genocide. And you'll rarely find among them young Americans who want to bash new American immigrants or deny rights to gay couples or to their children. And all of this tells me that we are actually moving to a much more connected, much more compassionate, and much more generous place. We have only need of new leadership to call forward the goodness within us and move our country forward. So Nevada, I am here to challenge you to point the way forward for our country. At a time when it seems like big money has taken over our politics, here in the Nevada caucuses, every individual still matters, don't they? So I want to share some thoughts with you tonight about our country, about where we need to head, the actions we need to take to move us forward. You know, one of the most important lessons I learned about our country and about the American dream that we share, I learned when I was 17, and I was working in a restaurant, and I saw this new American immigrant man. His name was Miguel, and Miguel, without him, that restaurant would not function. I mean, this guy was there early, opened up the place, humping kegs, bussing tables. I watched him working tirelessly night after night, the heart and soul of the place. And at the end of one long night, I remember asking him, I said, Miguel, how is it that you work so hard? And instead of answering me how, he told me why in 3 very powerful words. He said, "For my daughter." You see, you and I are part of a living, self-creating mystery called the United States of America. But the promise that's at the heart of that mystery is actually a very real and concrete thing. And that is the covenant among us and between us that says, in our country, you start where you start, but through your own hard work, you should be able to get ahead, should be able to give your children and grandchildren a safer, healthier, and better future. And my wife, Katie, and I have 4 terrific kids, Grace and Tara, and William and Jack. And my oldest daughter is a first-grade teacher in her 3rd year at Walter P. Carter Elementary School in Baltimore City. Any teachers in the audience here? Well, several months ago, after her dad had announced for president at home in Baltimore, she returned to her 1st grade class, 100% African-American kids. True story, a little girl tugged her on the sleeve and said, "Miss O'Malley." The little girl's name was Sabina. She says, "Miss O'Malley, I'm not so sure about this idea of your father running for president, because quite frankly, I kind of like Barack Obama." Well, a lot of us like Barack Obama, right? Eight years ago, when our nation was on the verge of being plunged into a second Great Depression by the recklessness and unchecked greed of Wall Street, we brought forward as a party a new leader in Barack Obama to move our country forward, and that is exactly what he's done. Get this, 70 months in a row of positive month-over-month job growth. That's leadership. That's Barack Obama. That's the new leadership that our country needed. And now it's up to us. And now it is up to us. We must build upon President Obama's legacy, or surely we will backslide into a very bad detour. What am I talking about? Forget about a hidden agenda. The Republican candidates for president openly promise to take us backward. They will undo every single thing that we have accomplished in these last 8 difficult years. I look at their field of candidates and I shake my head. I'd like to say that Donald Trump is the most outrageous and unqualified person ever to run for president. But really, that's not fair to Ted Cruz. Nevada Democrats, we must win this election, and we must fight like the future of our country depends on it. Because those guys can have their fear and those guys can have their anger, but I know that there is more that unites us than divides us. And there is nothing so divided about our nation's politics that new leadership and our love for one another cannot heal. This is what we can agree on. No American family who works hard and plays by the rules should ever have to raise their children in poverty, should they? But unfortunately, some billionaires would disagree with that. Donald Trump has said, and I quote, "Wages are too high." American wages are too high? I'll tell you what, Donald. I'll tell you what's too high. College tuition in the United States of America is too high. The cost of childcare, that's too high. The number of Americans living in poverty is too high. Donald Trump's opinion of himself, that's too high. No. Donald Trump. Actually, Donald, wages in America are too low. When our workers actually earn more, they spend more, and our entire economy grows. That's American economics. The hard truth of our times, my fellow Democrats, that we need to own if we're going to win this general election is this. This is a hard truth we need to own and we need to acknowledge in order to fix it and have credibility with our neighbors. Today, because of bad trickle-down choices of the last 30 years before President Obama, 70% of us are earning the same or less than we were 12 years ago. And that's the first time that's happened this side of World War II. That's not the way our country's supposed to work. That's not the way our economy's supposed to work. Yes, we've come a long way over these last 8 years, but we have urgent work to do. And while this eagle flies best when both its left and right wings are actually working, the truth of our times is also that only the Democratic Party, the party of Roosevelt, the party of Kennedy, the party of Barack Obama will make our economy work again and make wages go up for all Americans. That's the truth of our times. The formula of our success is that in every generation, we square our shoulders to the challenge of our times. We make our country stronger, and we take actions, not words, but actions, to include more people more fully in the economic, social, and political life of our nation. Therefore, with new leadership, we must raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, however we can and wherever we can. Pay overtime pay for overtime work and make it easier for people to join labor unions and bargain collectively for better wages for all of us. Equal pay for equal work for men and women and paid family leave in the United States of America. These are the choices that move us forward. And instead of scrapping or privatizing Social Security, I have put forward a plan to actually expand Social Security and increase average payouts to Americans in Social Security. We want to get wages to go up rather than down? Then let us do as our grandparents and our parents did before us. Let's get 11 million of our neighbors out of the off-the-books, underground, shadow economy by passing comprehensive immigration reform with a pathway to citizenship for all. These are among the 15 strategic goals that I have put forward in the course of this campaign for moving our country forward. And the difference between a goal and a dream is a deadline, something I've also learned as a mayor and a governor. I put forward a plan now to move us to make debt-free college a reality within the next 5 years. I have put forward a plan, and I have the backbone to stand up to the bullies of Wall Street so Wall Street economy can never wreck America's Main Street economy. And what does that mean? That means reinstituting a modern version of Glass-Steagall and doing it today. Making national service a universal option for every American kid, eradicating childhood hunger in the next 5 years. These are the ambitions that are worthy of a great people. And another one of those goals is this: to cut in half the number of Americans who die from guns and gun violence in the United States. A few days ago, President Obama stood beside families who have been devastated and shattered by gun violence. He spoke to the nation. He spoke to all of us as a people. And what did he offer? He offered us reason and compassion and common sense to stem the scourge of gun deaths. The president's executive actions will expand background checks, something, by the way, which is supported by 9 out of 10 Americans, 9 out of 10 Democrats, 9 out of 10 independents, and 9 out of 10 Republicans. And what was the sickening response of Ted Cruz? Ted Cruz responded with a doctored photo depicting our president as a Nazi-esque soldier trying to, coming for Americans' guns. Have you no shame, Ted Cruz? Have you no shame? Ted Cruz actually says that the answer to gun violence is more guns. Senator, the answer to cancer is not more cancer. The answer to poverty is not more poverty. And the answer to gun violence isn't more guns. In my own state, After the slaughter of all of those innocent kids in that classroom in Connecticut, I brought our people together to pass comprehensive gun safety legislation, including a ban on combat assault weapons. And you know what? We didn't interrupt a single hunter's hunting privileges or hunting season. In fact, I've never met a self-respecting hunter who needed an AR-15 to down a deer. Have you? With new leadership in Washington, we can save American lives. Universal background checks, banning the sale of combat assault weapons, holding gun makers and gun sellers responsible when they arm criminals. Because one American life is worth more than all of the gun sales in America. Another key part of our success as Americans is we don't run from our challenges. We don't hide from them, we face them square on. Climate change is the greatest business opportunity to come to the United States in 100 years, and we need to make this opportunity ours. I am the first candidate for president, and let us hope not the last, to put forward a plan to move America to a 100% clean electric energy grid by 2050 and create 5 million jobs along the way. And make no mistake about it, a clean energy future is a future with more jobs and more prosperity, not less. And yet here in Nevada, that cleaner, more prosperous energy future is under attack, isn't it? You guys have made such tremendous strides. You made your state #1 in solar power. But now look what has happened. Instead of celebrating that accomplishment, instead of building on it to create even more jobs and show the way forward, your Public Utilities Commission has imposed outrageous new fees on everyone with a solar panel. Get this, homeowners, schools with solar panels creating clean, green energy will now in effect be paying to subsidize carbon-belching coal-fired plants. After creating thousands of jobs in solar panel sales and installation, get this, Solar City has now closed up shop here in Nevada, saying the state was trying to sabotage solar energy. We can't afford to sabotage our children's future any longer. We did not land a man on the moon with an all-of-the-above strategy. It was an engineering strategy. And so too is the imperative of America's clean energy future. We are the most innovative nation of problem solvers the world has ever seen. And with new leadership, we can rise to this challenge of our times and make a clean energy future America's opportunity for a new century. Don't you agree? Because our diversity is our strength, and we are a nation of nations, a pluribus unum, from many one. America is made stronger in every generation by the arrival of new American immigrants. My own great-grandparents were immigrants, half of them Germans, half of them Irish. Their first language might not have been English, but the hopes and dreams they had for their kids and grandkids were purely American. But today in our country, there are voices in politics today. Loud, angry voices of division, voices of fear, voices who would question our common humanity, demagogues who incite hate and try to pit us against one another. Well, I have news for them. Babies do not come shaped like anchors, and there is no such thing as an illegal person. We are all in this together. We are all in this together, and almost all of our people have come here over land, over sea, and to come to our country. We are a nation of immigrants, yes, and we wouldn't be a nation otherwise. And I'll tell you this, if you ever want to talk to someone who believes in America and who believes in the American dream, talk to a new American immigrant who has risked it all to come here. But it's going to take new leadership to break 35 years of gridlock in Washington on this issue. This is not merely a constituent issue. This is an issue about who we are as a people, the sort of economy we would build, the sort of country we would give to our children. And with new leadership in Washington, we can provide immediate relief to the millions of new Americans whose hopes and dreams have been dashed time and time again because of gridlock in Congress. It is a national disgrace that we now as a nation maintain the largest system of immigrant detention camps of any nation on the planet. And with new leadership, we must shut them down. And we must also shred those government contracts for for-profit prisons, a shameful policy in our country. In the last few days, over Christmas, immigration officials launched, here in our own nation, nationwide deportation raids. At Christmas, Jesus himself was a refugee child fleeing death gangs at Christmas. These nationwide deportation raids are now terrorizing hundreds of families, waking them up at dawn. Some of the deportees as young as 4 years old, and sending them back to the hands of death gangs. This is not consistent with who we are as a nation. We don't make America stronger by breaking families up. We need to stop ripping families apart and once and for all put an end to these mindless deportation policies. The answer is not to deport mothers and children who walk thousands of miles to ask the people of the United States for refuge. The answer is to join in a new alliance for American progress here in our own hemisphere, to push back against the drug traffickers and those that would seek to destabilize and terrorize whole nations in Central America. The answer is for us to extend temporary protective status to those who have fled from Guatemala and from Honduras and from El Salvador. This is in keeping with our character as a nation. We must show with actions, not words, that we will lead our hemisphere by the actions we take here, actions of compassion and humanity. And the way that we confront terror and the ongoing threat of global terror in our homeland is not by surrendering our American freedoms and our American values, but by actually holding true to them. The violent genocidal evil in this world, known as ISIS, must be confronted and must be destroyed. We must lead this effort. And we must lead by building the broadest possible coalition. The UN Security Council unanimously issued a call for member states to redouble action against the ISIL and take all necessary measures in that fight. The United States must take the lead in making this Security Council resolution real, to lead a concerted international effort to destroy the operational capacity of ISIS. Governors have led us to victory in 2 world wars. Not by scapegoating Americans, not by pitting us against one another, but by bringing us together. And that is what we must do today. Real leadership always triumphs over fear. And even though Donald Trump tells the nation that he would ban American Muslims from travel and entering our country, we know that that path does not lead to the future of our country. He says that we should be monitoring religious services and that we should start some sort of registry of American citizens based on their faith. Beginning first with American Muslims, who's next? Catholics? Trade unionists? Artists? Well, Donald Trump, when you launch your registry of Americans who oppose your fascist ideas, you can start with me. For this much I know, we will never surrender what it means to be an American to terrorists or to the fascist appeals of demagogues like Donald Trump, will we? The enduring symbol of our nation is not the barbed wire fence, it is the Statue of Liberty, and we need to act like that. And so it is, my friends, in this year of decision, Nevada has a historic role to play in crafting the outcome of this race. Nevada has a role to play in bending the arc of history forward. You know, sometimes there are people who say to me, Governor O'Malley, you've got a tough fight. Well, you know what? I kind of like a tough fight. I've always been drawn to tough fights. I didn't run for mayor of Baltimore because things were going great in our city in 1999. I didn't lead my state through these last 8 years in easy economic times. But I fought to save every house and every job I could. And to those who sometimes say to me, you face a tough fight, I look back at them and say, you know what? There's a lot of people who say that you face a tough fight too. Being able to give to your children and grandchildren a better future than what your parents gave to you. Well, I think the toughness of the fight might be the way the hidden God has of telling us we're actually fighting for something worth saving. Our children's future is worth saving. The American dream is worth saving. Our country is worth saving, and this planet is worth saving. That is why I am running for President of the United States. I need your help, and I'm asking you to choose new leadership. Move our country forward. May God bless the people of Nevada, and may God bless the people of the United States of America in our journey forward together. Thank you all very, very much.